The scariest thing to hit the trucking industry. Self-driving or driverless trucks. How are they going to affect you? Stay tuned, and I'll tell you how. Hello there, Sully here, the retired tanker yanker. Welcome to Transitions, my YouTube channel. Say, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell and you'll see more content like this. And I will be happy to have you aboard as a subscriber. And if you have just subscribed and this is your first time watching my channel, welcome. Hey, if it's within your means, you could even consider sponsoring some of these videos on Patreon. I do have a page. And any help would be appreciated, but just hitting that subscribe button should be enough. So hit that button, hit that bell, find out what's going on with my life after trucking. So this is a video about my 2 cents worth. I want to talk today about something that has been making the rounds, not just in the trucking industry, but all across our country. That is driverless trucks. Hey, guess what, driver? You're out of a job because they're making trucks that can drive themselves. How little you understand. First of all, we must not use the term driverless trucks. The industry refers to them as autonomous. There is a difference. Driverless means no driver required. Autonomous means a vehicle which is capable of operating independently of the driver. But let me ask you a question. How is that truck going to handle first mile and last mile? I mean, the reason freight is on trucks is because it was put on trucks at a shipper. The reason freight gets to where it's going is because it's taken off the truck. Now, the idea of an autonomous truck operating independent of the driver might work well out on the super slab, but how is it going to work on those side streets, those little tiny little streets that we have to drive around to get to and from the shipper and to and from the consignee? Getting to the shipper and picking up the load and getting back out on the highway, that is referred to in the industry as first mile. That is when the load is placed on the truck. You have to get to the shipper, and autonomous trucks are not going to be able to handle that because you're going to be driving in traffic. It's not just like Scotty beams the truck from the super slab to the door. Already backed in, door is open, and Scotty beams the freight on the truck. It doesn't work that way. The truck has to get from the highway to the shipper. And once the truck is loaded, the truck has to get from the shipper back out on the highway. That's called first mile. Okay, then we have something called last mile. That's when you're driving down the highway and you come to your exit. And hopefully you're paying attention and use the right exit so you don't have to go down and make a U-turn or do something stupid. As we've all done, right, drivers? That's called last mile. That's taking it from the highway to the consignee so that the freight can be taken off the truck and then placed on another truck to be taken to the stores. Now, I've also heard the argument that why do we need trucks? I mean, what do trucks deliver? Everything that you have. That's what. Trucks deliver everything but babies. Everything you have. The clothes on your back. The food that you eat. The toilet paper that you perform your after-movement cleansing ritual. Notice I was very careful about how I said that. Everything that you have was delivered by truck. The mail that you get, that has to make at least part of its journey on a truck. I know because I hold mail for 9 years. I did liquid bulk for the last 6 years of my driving career. That was in tankers. And I'm trying to tell you that the logistics of hauling liquid bulk are totally different. The reason being is because you have a load that you cannot secure. You have a load that you cannot stop from moving around. You have the forces of gravity. You have the forces of centrifugal force. You have centripetal force. You have inertia, momentum. And you also have to understand the principle of conservation of momentum when you're driving. Conservation of momentum basically means the load starts sloshing around when you start out. Once you get up to a constant speed and maintain it, the load settles down. And it's not going to move around unless you got to jerk the wheel or stop suddenly or accelerate suddenly. The load is going to stay stable once you get moving. That's a principle of physics called conservation of momentum. But then you come to that curve and you start going around that curve. That load is going to slosh this way, and the trailer is going to start leaning that way. Now, if that trailer goes more than 15 degrees, the center of gravity goes more than 15 degrees out of parallel, you're going over. You're getting a rollover. It requires a skilled mind, skilled hands, and a skilled driver to prevent that from happening. Another aspect of the autonomous truck and why you need a flesh and blood human being driver with a head, with eyes, with hands, is what if something happens? What if there's a breakdown? What if an emergency situation arises, a blowout, an accident, a four-wheeler cuts you off? The truck cannot realize that as fast as the driver. Oh yeah, they have sensors around. Oh, somebody's about, but will it be able to control the truck in a heartbreaking emergency situation? That's another reason why you need a driver at the controls, awake, alert, and in compliance. Actually, the first facet of autonomy in the trucking industry probably came around in the early 90s with the introduction of the Omnitrax communication system. It was an idea to allow real-time communications between the driver in the truck and the back office, the driver, the driver manager, safety, and it was just a way to provide instant communication. You could get your load info right away. You could get route planning. You could call up your payroll if you need it. And in the mid-90s, a company called Warner Enterprises, who had been one of the first of the big companies to embrace Omnitrax, they developed a software which allowed drivers to record their hours of service without using a paper logbook. It was the first real application of electronic logging, what we now call EOBR. And it has been evolving throughout the years. Now, this coming December, there's going to be a mandate where EOBR has to be able to send an email with your logs and any violations you may have committed, be able to email that. Currently, you can fax your logs to a police officer. You just input his fax number on the log request page and it'll shoot a paper log. But this way allows the trooper or the scale master, whoever you're dealing with, to get your logs via email, and they can actually look at them. They'll have a tablet or a laptop, and they'll be able to examine your logs and make sure you're in compliance. Omnitrax also helps to track engine performance, fuel usage, maintenance problems. If a sensor goes off, Omnitrax picks it up, sends a message to your maintenance department. If you break down, it can pinpoint using GPS to find out exactly where you are and make sure that road service gets to you as quickly as possible. Road service gets to you as quickly as possible. You didn't know this was going to be a comedy video, did you? Since autonomous trucks are going to rely on GPS technology, those of us who have used the GPS navigation systems, whatever one's out there, knows that there are times when there is a breakdown between the satellite and your unit. And that will happen to trucks. There will be a time when the self-navigation system malfunctions. What's the truck going to do? Just stop in traffic and wait to reestablish a link with the satellite? No. You're going to need a real-time, real human being, real heart-beating, breathing, living, eyes, brain, hands driver to take control of the vehicle. So the concept of the driverless truck basically is absurd. So who are the players in the game of autonomous trucks? Well, we know that Uber wanted to get into this. Self-driving trucks. Well, autonomous trucks. Okay. Yeah, Uber wanted to get into it big. We've all used Uber. You know, our car's not running too great. We have to get from point A to point B. Taxi cab, 5 to 30 minutes, and 2 hours later they show up. Okay? So we call Uber. They're there in 5 minutes. They pick you up. Yeah, maybe you have to share a ride with somebody, but you're going to get from point A to point B for about a third to a half of what a taxi cost you. So Uber is good at the people moving business, but the freight moving business, that's a horse of a different color. Now, we know that there were companies like Daimler, who is the parent company of Freightliner. They've been testing automated trucks or autonomous trucks probably since 2014. And, you know, the idea is get the freight out on the highway, move it expediently. Now, yeah, with a self-driving truck or an autonomous truck, you might be taking driver fatigue out of the equation. Okay, it gives the driver a chance to rest when going from point A to point B on the super slab. But what about when you come to construction? What about when you come to a traffic backup? What about when you come to a major city? I mean, every one of us has been there where we come to a major city and we say, oh, I'll just take the bypass, I'll take the go around, I'm not going to go through the Cross Bronx, I'll head for the Tappan Zee Bridge. and no matter which way you go, you're sitting in traffic. So you have to make decisions. You know, the truck is not going to get on the CB and say, all right, what should I do, take the go around or go through? All right, they're going to be checking real-time data to see which route is the most expedient, and they're going to take it. But you still need that operator to say, well, I just heard on the CB, and probably didn't hit the satellite yet, that there was an accident up that road, and it's going to be shut down. So maybe it's more congested this way, but I should go this way because I'm going to be stopped behind that accident. The real-time traffic update hasn't gotten that information yet. It's telling me to go this way because it's less traffic. It hasn't been updated, and all of a sudden you hear there's an accident up that way. So maybe going the more congested way in your real-time traffic data buffer is actually the better way to go, because at least you're not going to be sitting behind a wreck for 3 or 4 hours. And we've all been there. We've all been on highways that were shut down. We got behind an accident. There's no way to get off. You just sit in the truck, and your 14-hour clock is ticking, 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 which is another thing I want to get on, hours of service reform, but that's for another video. We know that good old Tesla, good old Elon Musk, has been trying to come up with his all-electric truck that's going to be 100% self-driving. But, you know, here's the thing about Tesla. Even with the idea of putting solar panels on the trailer or on the tractor to charge the battery, you're still only going to get about 250 to 300 miles out of a full charge. And then you got to shut down and recharge the battery. That doesn't work. And what about emergency stopping? I mean, you have to have a human being at the wheel. So it's going to be unproductive. Now, there is another truck that's coming out using what's called fuel cell technology. This is a company called Nikola. They're developing fuel cell technology, and they are in the process right now of deploying recharging stations where the fuel will be hydrogen. And when you buy the truck, and the truck looks like a rocket ship, but it pulls conventional trailers. It has a conventional fifth wheel. It has the conventional brake glad hands. It has the conventional pigtail plug. You can pull existing trailers with the Nikola. It just operates differently. It uses fuel. It uses electronic motors. And it is zero emissions. And U.S. Express is on board with Nikola because I think they've ordered something like 125 units, and Ryder is on board with Nikola. I think they've ordered something like 150 units. And Nikola right now is in the process of deploying fueling stations around the country where they're just going to make hydrogen right there on the spot. What do you make hydrogen from? You make it from water. You simply use a process called electrolysis to remove oxygen and hydrogen. Okay? And then you get the byproduct of the oxygen, you sell it to people who buy oxygen. And then the hydrogen, you pump it into your tank. And when you burn the hydrogen, what do you do when you burn something? You combine it with oxygen. You're just turning that into water. Zero emissions. You're just putting out water vapor. I think it's going to work better. I actually think that hydrogen will replace diesel or clean natural gas as the fuel of the future. Now, the big thing about autonomous trucks is, are drivers out of a job? The answer to that is no. Okay, in fact, there's going to be even more openings for jobs. Now, here we go with the driver shortage again, and the driver shortage, of course, is a myth that was invented by the American Trucking Association to justify the fact that the big trucking companies are having retention problems because they're not paying their top drivers, and they want to get away with that. They want to get those top drivers out so they can hire more and more rookies, pay them bottom dollar, and say, hey, look, there's a shortage. We need all these drivers. But I've already spoken about the driver shortage, and I will talk about the driver shortage again. Now, whether you want to call it driverless, self-driving, automatic, automated, autonomous, the fact of the matter is you're still going to require a human being at the controls of that vehicle. And the DOT has already weighed in on autonomous trucks by saying that there shall be an operator in these trucks. And that driver will be awake, alert, and in compliance with hours of service regulations. The thing about automated trucking is it might put Smokey Bear out of business because autonomous trucks are going to be controlled speed. Now, you guys that don't like the idea of speed-controlled trucks, you know, you're just going to have to live with it because autonomous trucks are going to be set to adjust to the flow of traffic, but with a maximum speed of, say, 65 or 70 miles an hour. Now, there are some guys that think that 65 is too slow. There are some guys that think 70 is too slow. But the truth of the matter is, if we can get this technology where we can use GPS to control the speed of the truck to go with the flow of traffic. If traffic's moving 75 miles an hour, then the truck moves 75 miles an hour. But if you're pulling a tanker, as I did, that speed is unrealistic. 65 is plenty fast for a tanker. And, well, of course, in the tanker business, they did allow us the time, and I worked for a company that paid very well. Autonomous trucks are not going to cost you your job, driver. In fact, they are going to create your job and maybe, just maybe, extend your career. Unless, of course, you suffer from degenerative disc disease and spinal stenosis like I do. Can't climb up on top of that tank trailer and, oh, well, why don't you drive a dry van driver because I can't unload toilet paper anymore either. It is what it is. So you're saying, well, Sully, you're retired. You don't have to worry about this anymore. Yes, I do. Because I still have to go to the store and buy my stuff. I still have to buy food. I still have to put gasoline in my car. I still have to buy clothes to put on my back. And where do I get that stuff? At the store. Why is it at the store? They don't make it at the store. They don't make gasoline at the gas station. It is delivered, and it is delivered by truck. And for those of you who aren't truck drivers, If you don't think trucking touches your life, guess again. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I made it mostly to reassure drivers that, hey, autonomous trucks are not going to cost you your job. They're probably going to make your job easier and better. But they still need you, driver. They still need your eyes. They still need your brain. They still need your hands. And most of all, they still need your heart. The desire to be out on the road, turning and burning, to make sure this country and any other country that relies on transportation for its infrastructure, make sure we all have what we need. Just remember that America runs on 18 wheels. And when trucks stop, America stops. And the same goes for Canada and Mexico and the United Kingdom and the European Union and Russia and China. Your economy relies on those 18 wheels turning and burning to get what people need to where they need to go to get it. So thank you very much. Once again, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you are a new subscriber and this is your first time, again, I say welcome. Share this video with your friends. Let everybody know just how important truck drivers are to the economy, and not just our country, but every country. And hit that notification bell to see more content like this, or other content that I'm doing. I mean, I'm just doing things that strike my fancy, but I felt the need to post this video simply because there is too much concern about autonomous trucks eliminating truck driver jobs. It's not going to happen, guys and girls. It's not going to happen. We're going to need truck drivers. Even when we find life on other planets and we're shipping cargo to and from other planets, there's still going to need to be somebody at the controls. Okay? Maybe the 23rd or 24th century truck drivers will be far different from the 20th and 21st century drivers, you know. But as long as there is demand for what we need, there will be a need to get it to the people. And that need is filled by truck drivers. For Transitions, this has been Sully, the retired tanker yanker, saying safe and happy travels.